Lebowski!
Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Joe on Joe. This is the podcast where I've covered every episode of G.I. Joe Real American Hero, the Sunbow cartoon, the DIC cartoon, the Extreme cartoon. I've also covered every issue of the G.I. Joe Real American Hero comic book, and we've been working our way through the G.I. Joe magazine. So, listeners, if you're new to the show, I urge you, go check out the back catalog. This is designed as a watch-along or listen-along podcast. Really a watch-along. Like, hit play on the cartoon and listen to my old episodes of the show. That's what the show is all about. And this week, I was getting ready to dive back into the G.I. Joe magazine, which we've been plugging through. And I've absolutely been enjoying those. I hope you guys have too. But I'm taking a break this week because, not calling it a fundraiser, but we are raising funds. It's not charity. You're getting something in return. We're raising funds for a good friend of the show this week, Dan Beals, who is a former guest on Joe. And he is an aspiring... No, let me take that back. Not aspiring. He is a writer. He is a director. He has written. He has directed. He has worked in Hollywood. And he is going to the Austin Film Festival as a judge this year, and he needs to raise some funds to take care of business. We all know this. You chase your dreams, you take care of business. So you know what Dan did, who's a massive comic book fan? Dan is chasing his life dream by selling his lifelong collection of comic books, trade paperbacks, graphic novels, that are in minty mint condition. The guy takes really good care of his books. Well, I said, let's let the Joe on Joe podcast help you out. So, we took in like 700 trade paperbacks of Dan's. They're sitting in my house right now. And over the course of the next couple weeks, I will be listing them on eBay. So this is not a charity. You are buying something, but you are getting something awesome. And we're going to have a wonderful assortment of really well cared for trade paperbacks, graphic novels, Marvel, DC. A lot of Valiant will be going up. So as you're hearing this, we've just started getting them listed, and we have probably about 50 listings up so far. But there's plenty more to go. So I know what you're saying. Is this just a commercial for me to go and shop? It is not just a commercial for you to go and shop. These are up for auction, so please head on over to my eBay store, which specifically is JOJ Comics and More. I'll be tweeting it out, and we'll have it on Instagram and stuff. But if you go to eBay and just search for this store, JOJ Comics and More, you should be able to find it. And look at my auctions, and you'll see a lot of trade paperbacks that are up for auction. Also got a bunch of other stuff on there too. But look at those auctions, and I want you to look, and I want you to find something, because we are raising money to get Dan Beals to Austin Film Festival. So, you said it's not just spending money. What does that even mean, Joe? Well, what that means is I'm giving away a copy of the Art of G.I. Joe Digipack, the Blu-ray Digipack. I have it in my hand right now. How many discs is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4-disc Blu-ray. I believe it's a $40 value. I'm giving away a copy of this because Dan's a filmmaker. Dan's going to judge films. And our friend Carson Metaxas over at The Art of G.I. Joe and 3D Joes, they put this wonderful film series together of G.I. Joe interviews. So I'm going to be giving this away. So listeners, here's what you got to do. Go onto Instagram, go onto Twitter, find us, more likely on Instagram, I believe, and share the hashtag #GetDanToAFF. And also check out Beelzebub, BealSebub. That's Dan's Instagram handle. Give him a follow and like and comment on his store posting for this. There's a Joe on Joe posting. You should have it pinned up to the top of his profile, and leave a comment. Leave a hashtag Joe on Joe, hashtag Get Dan to AFF, something like that. And in the next couple of weeks, when we get everything done and everything listed, once the entire ordeal is over, we'll go through those, and the lucky winner, randomly chosen, will get a copy of The Art of G.I. Joe, courtesy of me. sending it to you. Now, if you're not on social media, and I get it, I understand why. I'm not going to hold that against you. In fact, I'm going to celebrate you for it. Good for you. You're a better person than all of us that are. And I genuinely mean that. It is a garbage place. But if you're not on social media, I'm sure you have email. All you got to do is send me an email to joeonjoepod@gmail.com, and I'll enter you in the entering too. But the thing is, we want to spread the word, right? So tell everyone about this, these auctions that are out there. I don't think he has a lot of G.I. Joe stuff. I run in circles where I'm the only G.I. Joe guy. And when I come across G.I. Joe stuff, I tend to go, that's mine. So, but they're really great stuff. Really, 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 really well cared for books. And we're putting them up as lots. So like, it's like the entire 4-run hardcover collection of a series, all the Grant Morrison JLAs, all the Preacher books are in there somewhere. We're going to be getting those up, things like that. So it's not like going to be one book here, one book there. We're putting them together as lots to make it nice and easy. And everyone will get you a good book. And we're going to get Dan to Austin Film Festival because he's going to be a judge. And that is going to be fabulous for his resume. And it's going to launch his career. And he's going to imagine this. He's on the Oscar stage winning for some amazing film he made. And he thanks the Joe on Joe podcast. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Get G.I. Joe that kind of publicity? When's the next time you're going to have a chance for G.I. Joe to be mentioned on an Oscar stage? You're not. It's never going to happen. Not under this regime. Throwing that out there. That was the gauntlet. I put it down there. So I thought what we would do is certainly tell you guys about this. We're running this contest. Please, please, please share all that good stuff. And we're running, this is today's episode of the show is Dan's episode when he was on the show, and this is probably from, it's the DIC era. It's Officer and a Viperman, which I have a little bit more to say about that too. And this is from probably 2018, 2019, definitely pre-COVID. And I feel like we started DIC around 2019. So sit back and relax and strap it down and enjoy this. Now, having said that, Officer and Viperman was great. It was really good. What's the word? Synchronicity. It's really good timing because it happened to be about named after a movie, right? Officer and Gentleman. Dan's a filmmaker. There's a traitor in the ranks, right? Well, I looked it up before I started recording this. Who wrote it? Our new friend of the show, Michael Charles Hill, writer, author of Cold Slither. So this world, the synchronicity just keeps happening. So Michael, if you're listening to this, shout out to you. Now, I hope I say great things about your episode on this program, and I hope you enjoy it because I thought just very strange. Of all the episodes that Dan did, he did one that you wrote. So I think that's awesome. And new listeners, we just had Michael on the show for the first time a couple weeks back. So check out our archives and give those a listen. Anyway, that's enough of plather from me before we get into this episode. So the episode's a little, a few years old, so some references may be a little dated, but you're going to get to know Dan. He's a great dude. He's worked through Hollywood. He's been on some huge shows. He's a dude who's followed his dream and paid his dues. So now we're going to help pay his dues, and we're going to raise a bunch of money on eBay and get you a bunch of great comic books. And we're going to get Dan to the Austin Film Festival. And on top of that, of course, our amazing sponsors, the Movies in a Meal podcast that keep this show running every week, they're a movie podcast. So between the movie podcast, which you need to be listening to, Dan Beals, movie maker, talking about movies, talking about an episode named after a movie. It's all about movies this week. So, give a lot of love to the Movies in a Meal podcast. Saw Pretty Darling last week, or Strange Darling, whatever that movie was called. That was okay. Saw Beetlejuice. It was nonplussed. It wasn't won over. But I'm not here to bury Caesar. I'm just here to say, let's support Dan and give Movies in a Mill podcast a listen. So here we go. I believe it was episode 121 of the Joe on Joe podcast. An Officer and a Viperman featuring Dan Beals. Film auteur.
Joe Slepsky.
Hey, and welcome back to Joe on Joe. It's me, your host, Joe Slepsky, and this is the only Joe on Joe podcast. The only G.I. Joe podcast. Actually, technically, it's not the only Joe on Joe podcast. It is the only G.I. Joe podcast that I watch every episode of G.I. Joe, Real American Hero in sequential order, and comment on it Mystery Science style. If all that sounds confusing, just think of the look on my guest's face, because he's like, I'm a first-time guest here, and I don't know what you just described. And listeners, I'm sitting here with a friend. He's a very talented writer. He's a director. He works all over TV out here in California behind the scenes. You've seen his work on many, many shows, but you've never seen his face because he is
hiding.
He's in hiding. He's in Hollywood Witness Protection Program.
I know what my face brings. I hide it behind.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea as we're staring across from each other here. No, he's lovely. He's delightfully talented, and he's a entertaining guest who you're going to love today, Mr. Dan Beals. Dan, welcome to Joe on Joe.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. Although, G.I. Joe, you said?
G.I. Joe.
Okay. It's not Thundercats. That's
no,
where
it's
I
not.
thought I was going, but
no, it's
cool.
not Thundercats.
Cool,
no, it's not. Would you like to do a Dan on Cats show?
I feel like there's a market for that.
I feel like So wait, Thundercats.
But I mean, if the guest or if the host is a named cat, then what's
right?
the point?
Well, what I like. It is all about the host name. You're absolutely
your branding
right.
is all
I've thought
on
about
point.
Yeah, I've
I
thought
gotta
about
give
all
you
kinds of
credit for
stuff.
that.
Right. I've thought about all kinds of spin-off shows.
Yeah.
And if they don't, even though it's a great idea, if they don't like rhyme or mimetically go together, I'm not interested in doing that show.
I've already turned off my podcast app.
But there was Mumra, Lion-O, Chitara.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the gray guy? Panthro.
Yeah.
Wily Kit and Wily Cat.
Yep.
And
there were the additionals later on. There was Bengali.
Benghazi. What?
No, Bengali.
Well,
it's a whole different podcast.
Beals on Bengali. If he was was he a legit dude?
He was. He was basically Tigra repainted black and white.
Okay.
As a Bengal.
Okay. Well, then that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. We're going to do a Bengali-centric show. It's going to be called Beals on Bengali.
I mean,
it's going to be.
We can go for years.
Well, it's going to be very. You're going to if Joe on Joe gets me some crossover traffic of people who think it's a different kind of podcast, Beals on Bengali is going to get a
through the roof.
Yeah, there's going to be
for about 10 minutes.
Congressional investigations.
I pretty much talked about everything there is to know about Bengali, I think.
Yeah,
already.
yeah. Oh, but there's going to be congressional investigations. So Dan Beals,
yes,
you're a delight.
Thanks.
You're out here in California with us. You're a friend from the store. That's how I first met you, and we've become friends in real life. Lovely store, Golden Apple Comics, of course.
Hope she's listening.
Oh, absolutely.
Gosh.
She's always listening.
You don't say that.
That's not true. She doesn't. She doesn't.
Hurt.
She doesn't listen to this show. She's on the show.
Well,
doesn't listen to the show.
You know what? Supporting the home place is important.
She does support.
For some people.
Rebecca's a big supporter of Joe on Joe. Now, you currently you work on Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I do, yes.
Yeah, and tell us about
I do a lot of
that. What
different
do you do?
jobs
in
order to pay for the things I want to do, like writing and directing. I've been standing in on that show, which means I kind of come in. Basically, the actors will come in and rehearse before a scene, and then they'll leave, go get ready in hair, makeup, or whatever, and they bring in second team or stand-ins to kind of copy everything they did during rehearsal, and in order for the crew to light the scene.
Got it.
So I'm pretty much just a body.
So do you watch, like, is your job, who do you stand in for?
Joe Latrulio.
Awesome.
Yes.
he seems like he's
a great guy.
A great dude.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
The whole cast and crew is pretty fantastic, actually. It's one of those rare instances where everybody just kind of genuinely likes each other and likes showing up for work. And
Joe Latruglio is, if you guys know him from like the Seth Rogen comedies. Well, you know him from Brooklyn Nine-Nine if you watch him show, but that's where I first saw him in the Seth Rogen stuff.
Okay.
And
he works a lot with the State. He came up in the State.
That's right.
And David Wayne and all those guys.
He's blessed with an old man face. Very talented.
Talented.
He's very funny, very talented.
Yeah.
But he's got that face that it cemented when he was younger, and so as a performer,
and he grew around it.
Yes. So you watch him, and you feel like you feel like, oh, I've been watching him forever. Like I've enjoyed his stuff for so long. Yeah. He's ageless.
And he's always recognizable.
Yeah, he's always
exactly
recognizable. Right. He's got that ageless quality to it, and he didn't work for it. It was blessed with that, and
Some people have it.
Totally works for him. Like it's fantastic.
Yeah,
but it's good to know he's a nice dude.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And I feel like that's why I get to stand in for him, because I am blessed with an old man physique. So maybe there's some symmetry there.
It's true. Oh, yeah, yeah. So you watch what they do on set.
Yeah,
and try to
basically
mimic
they
it,
come
like,
they come
to
in
the-
rehearse and they do all their action. And
Yeah.
man, Joe gets to do a lot of the physical comedy, which kind of makes me groan at times because I have to mimic that to the best of my abilities. And then, they go away and we just kind of stand where they stand or do what they do during rehearsal, just so that everybody else, the DP and everybody, can watch the lighting. And once the actors come back, I go sit off to the side and watch them do it, make sure they didn't change anything.
Yeah.
In case I have to come back in.
And is that part of the job to like make to like quality control or whatever
Yeah,
you would
pretty
call
much
that?
my whole
like,
job is just paying attention and knowing what the actors are doing.
Oh, that's
And,
cool.
Yeah, it's very tough.
Yeah, very, well, listen, don't listen. If it wasn't important,
Of course.
they wouldn't have it.
It's great.
They're not looking to pay people to do nothing.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I mean, sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who's doing that job?
what's exciting about this is that you guys were one of the shows that was rescued.
Yeah.
So Fox, in the
Fantastic.
middle of this sale, whatever's happening with Disney, it sounds like they went through a big cost cutting for everybody across the board. They're like, let's just get lean and whatever. And unfortunately, Brooklyn Nine-Nine was one of those. But then
30 hours later, after a lot of ups and downs, I think Hulu was interested, and then they backed out, and maybe someone else. But then in the 11th hour, when we thought, we're dead, NBC
that's great.
showed up and rescued the show. And now
So
we're gonna be
yeah,
back
so
there.
what are you going to be back for?
We're going to be back. I think they picked it up for 13 episodes. And yeah, as far as I know, I haven't heard all the details yet. We're still waiting for all those company emails.
When do you go back to work?
August.
August.
Yeah.
Nice. And is it a 5-hour work week or what? What's the
It's
kind of shooting
it's
schedule
5
for a show like
days
that?
per episode. So every episode's about a week of shooting. Yeah.
You guys
So
shoot
we
on the
do-
weekends or
No.
no?
No. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is one of those great gems that runs like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
Probably a little too well, because you don't get overtime. You work, it's nice because we do maybe like a 10-hour day would be a long day for us,
Oh, really?
which is very unheard of in this industry. So it's a great show to work on if you like having a life,
Yeah.
and I do.
And I've seen. To be fair, I'm not fully versed. I haven't watched the whole show, but I've seen a handful of episodes, and I've enjoyed them. I like how it doesn't treat the cops as dumb.
Right.
They're dumb,
Right.
but they're good cops.
Yeah, and
You
it's
know, like,
also
there's some
I like
morons
it
there,
because
but-
it's a great throwback at times. Like when we were growing up, sitcoms would do like serious.
It's Barney Miller. It's
episodes.
this generation's Barney Miller.
Yeah, like they're not afraid to get dramatic. Like they did the racial profiling episode with Terry Crews.
Oh, cool.
They did a live shooter episode
Oh,
that
did
Stephanie
they?
Beatrice's character was stuck in. So there's like a lot of real life drama mixed in
Yeah.
to the comedy at times. And gosh, I think that's missing a lot in
Yeah.
comedy.
Well,
Well, comedy's. I feel like a lot of comedy on TV just feels like it's shtick, and
Good,
they're out.
good comedy needs the balance.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. And I
That-
feel like the creators of the show really have their finger on that.
it's one of the reasons why stuff like Tarantino films hit and resonate with so many people because there's so much dark there.
There's a lot of
and
bouncing
then there's
between-
this
Yeah.
funny moment, and it's not just sticklish.
No, I mean the best drama has comedy in it.
Yeah.
just in life, and
Yeah.
it works vice versa.
So, since you guys do shoot in LA, but it's Brooklyn Nine-Nine, are you just on like Brooklyn sets, or is there
We do,
any New York shooting at all, or any?
No, it's all here. It's
all
either
LA.
we usually use downtown LA, or we'll use some of the back lots around town.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all fake.
You ever catch flack from like the Brooklyn reps being like, you're
Not
not
me.
repping us right?
Maybe someone does, but not me. No, I know. I get that because when I first moved out here, one of my favorite shows was NYPD Blue.
Yeah.
And the second I learned that it was all downtown LA, I don't remember how I took it, but it really jarred me.
Well, for years, every once in a while, like once a season, ER would show up in Chicago.
Yeah,
and they
right.
would shoot a ton of scenes all over the city.
Yeah,
and it
they would
be
do
for
like
8
they would do
episodes
like a
worth
whole
of
bunch of location shooting
yes,
in
yeah.
like a week
Yeah.
for the whole season. It's nuts.
And then,
But nobody does that.
It's funny because I never realized I watched ER kind of not a ton, but on the regular enough to I never realized they were in Chicago. Because it just there was no one like stereotypically eating sausage. There was very little.
I think the only show that
Bears talk,
still
you know?
does that is It's Always Sunny.
Oh yeah,
Because they shoot in blocks.
got
And
a
they'll
real Philly feel. Yeah.
yeah, and they'll go out to Philly for a week or
For sure.
a week and a half.
Now, before Brooklyn Nine-Nine, you worked on a couple other tiny
when I
small
first
shows.
moved out
Small
here, I
shows.
used to set PA back in the day, working below the line.
I believe it was called Effice. How is that pronounced?
Effice?
You're
thinking of the French pronunciation.
Is that the French?
Or maybe the Italian. I'm not sure.
How did you pronounce the show?
The Office.
The Office.
Yes.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were a PA on The Office.
Mm-hmm.
That's
that was
a
great.
pretty huge
I first
show.
moved out here a long time ago, year unknown. And I was like working, just kind of day playing around on different sets and things like that. And this offer came up. Like the show is looking for PAs. They're looking to interview people. I was like, okay, I'm going. And it ended up being the second season of The Office. Because I don't know if you remember, the first season was just 6 episodes. Basically copied from
the
British show.
From the British one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I heard they were coming back and I got to interview for it, I was like, oh, I enjoyed that. That'd be fun to work on. And I got it. And it was like one of the first big things I ever got to do. And at the time, it was only a few episodes. And then it slowly like steamrolled, like cannonball. And they started adding episode and became like a full season. And it was just like that second season just skyrocketed. Like all of a sudden it was a monster hit, and I'd never experienced anything like that.
And how many seasons were you on it?
I did seasons 2, 3, and 4, and then a little bit of 5. And
then you flipped over to?
And I started day playing a lot, bouncing around from different shows after that point. And one of the main shows I worked on was Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec.
Which is phenomenal.
Pretty great show.
Yeah. I've been blessed to work on sets that contain crews and cast that are just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It kind of ruined me for all those the few times where I wasn't on such nice shows. I'm like, no, you're doing it wrong. You're supposed to be cool.
Well, yeah, because much like
have you met Steve Carell? This is how it's done.
Yeah, exactly. Like you pronounced it, I guess, the right way, saying The Office.
Yes.
I'm
here to educate.
Per K and Rec, whatever you want to call it, Parks and Rec. There's also a couple other small things you were on, like
oh gosh, I've been all over.
Iran Man.
That'd be an interesting spin-off.
Is that part of your Dan and Benghazi, Beals and Benghazi show? Iron Man 2 you worked on.
I did a little bit of that, yeah.
You worked on Thor.
I did. I worked on the second unit.
And you worked on The Dark Knight Rises.
Mm-hmm. I mean, in fairness, pretty much anyone in production in LA was working on that movie.
Hey, it
was madness.
There's no fairness in podcasting. So nothing's fair in podcasting. You still work.
It was one of the coolest shoots. It was huge. We had like 200 some production personnel because it was all downtown at night for many weeks. And they were basically locking up 4 or 5 square blocks of downtown Los Angeles for all these chase scenes with cops and the bat bike and all that.
Yeah.
And it was nuts. It was so big but so well structured and well organized. I've never experienced anything like it. Like a movie like that, you're expected you're probably gonna work a 14, 15-hour day.
Yeah.
We were done under 12 every day.
Really?
Chris Nolan has this binder. And in that binder is every detail of everything he wants, and he has it all laid out. I learned a lot just kind of standing off to the side watching him.
Oh, you were that close to him?
Mm-hmm, at times, yeah.
That's great.
And it's all about preparation. That's what I learned from that movie. Like, you don't have to lose your mind shooting these things if you're prepared. Mm-hmm. And I've never seen anything or anyone more prepared than that guy. That's great.
That's awesome. My car was almost in Batman Begins. They were shooting the car chase stuff. This is whatever year that would have been, 2004 or something, in Chicago. And my buddy, who was actually really almost the stand-in for Bullock, not Bullock, who's the guy from Sons of Anarchy.
I know you're talking about.
Yeah. Whatever his character name in Batman was. My buddy was almost the stand-in for that, and then they cast another guy because he was physically larger. And so then we saw the movie. He's like, and you saw just how slovenly, they had him up. Matt was like, I'm glad I wasn't cast as his stand-in. But through that, they called him one day, and they're like, hey, we liked you. We want you to be a part of the producing it. Do you have a car? And he didn't have a car, so he calls me at work, and he's like, hey, can you be up way north, north suburbs? Like in 2 hours, because they need cars for the Batmobile chase. And I'm like, yeah. So I leave work, get there. I have no concept of anything. On the way up there, absolutely true, a tire falls off of a truck, a semi, rolls, hits me rolls over my car, leaves a skid mark on the hood of my car.
Geez.
It broke the light fixture off, but the actual light worked. It just cracked the fixture. Yeah. So there was no accident, except I had a tire tread mark that ran over the hood of my car, and it bounced over. Who knows what it did behind me. So that was fun. And then I get there. So I was exciting. And I get there, and I'm like, all right, Batman. Yeah, I'm going to be in this. And I'm hanging out for about an hour and a couple hours, and a little bit longer goes by. And I ask around. I'm like, so, I'd been at work all day, and I was supposed to be at work in the morning. And I'm like, so what's up? They're like, oh, no, man, we're shooting at night, man. We don't start shooting till like 2 a.m. I didn't say a word. I just quietly drove away. Bye. I just got in my car and drove away. They had done up they had masked they'd put the dimmers on the lights and everything. Like they had taped the car up.
They had you ready to go.
Oh yeah, I'd signed everything. I was ready to go. And then I sat there and I started thinking about it. I'm like, oh man, this ain't gonna work. So
the allure.
Yeah. So my
diminished.
souvenir
It's
for
a nice
almost being
tread.
in Batman Begins was a broken headlight. And a tire track on the roof of my car.
Only thing I would say about that story is you need to lie and change it, saying that it was the Batmobile's wheel.
It's
came
true.
off and hit
That's
your car.
True. It'll become that.
Because then you still have a Batman story.
Yeah, it'll become. It'll
is.
become that. Oh, I've got Batman stories, but I'm like, if I start lying, I'll be more like Bob Kane.
Right.
And no one wants to be like Bob Kane.
Oh,
Come on,
gosh.
everybody. Well, this is great because you're talking about learning stuff from Nolan and stuff, and that's so important for you.
Amazing.
Because we build you as a writer and director, and that's what you are. You've directed. I've seen shorts, and you've seen clips. You did a commercial or a short movie or something.
I did a short kind of promotional thing for Watch Dogs 2.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you are currently, without getting in the details on it, but you're currently working on your first feature.
Yeah, I'm trying to apply everything I've learned to go the next step. Wrote a feature and got a producer, and we're putting it all together into a little package and figuring out how much it's going to cost.
And genre?
Dramatic thriller.
Dramatic thriller.
Yes.
I like that.
Which is a definite departure because all the shorts I've done up till now have been comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done that obviously because I came up in the production world working on, like we said, The Office and Parks and Rec and Brooklyn. I've been surrounded by comedy.
Yeah.
And gravitated towards that. And it ended up being a really great film school. Like you can learn a lot about pacing and structure and everything by comedy that applies to every other genre. And
I think all those projects you just talked about, they all also have a very unique visual style, and they push the boundaries of what would be considered the norm for that form.
Yeah,
and I think that's going to serve you well.
I think so too. Yeah. No, I've been very blessed. Like I've gotten to watch people like Paul Feig.
Oh,
because he was big on The Office. He directed a lot of episodes.
That's right.
He was a creative producer for a while there, and he's been like kind of a great. I won't say mentor, but I bother him a lot when I can.
So shows like I think of Parks and Rec and I think of The Office, and I just think that there's a fair amount of improv.
Absolutely.
But when I watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I don't get that feel because so much of the dialogue is so sharp and so character based.
Right.
Is there a lot of that on the set?
Yeah, there's a little bit of both, but I would agree with that.
Yeah,
there's definitely a little bit more structure. And
I think Andy
going
Samberg is also just super talented.
Yeah,
like he's one of the talents of this.
He works hard, and it shows.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love that he's the most competent cop on there. Just walking around.
More than Terry? I feel like Terry.
You think
Terry's emotional at times.
Yeah,
but
right.
He got to be sergeant.
That's true.
Through it.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm not caught up.
More than
I'm not all caught up.
Hitchcock
I gotta be honest.
Scully. I mean, those guys have tenure.
Well, they're all great. They're all great. But that's honestly that is what's great about it. Is it is fun to watch professionals doing their job.
It's
but
funny
then you also see that they're human
even
and
Hitchcock
stupid.
and Scully have had their moment.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, we see. I get it. They are cops.
There's a reason they're
not
doing that
often, but it's there.
And I think America loves Andre Braugher.
Yeah, as they should.
I think so. Yeah. Like I love Andre Braugher.
Yeah. If you don't, then
do you
get out of the country?
Have you ever talked to him about being in The Mist?
No, but I really want to. Yeah.
Oh, he's great in everything, but he's so good
great
in that movie.
The Mist is my favorite horror movies. Are movies where people are the monsters, and The Mist is absolutely near the top of that list.
Yes.
For Marcia Gay Harden.
Yes. Absolutely.
Because I feel like she's the monster we're seeing right now in the world. Not to get current.
Oh,
and
no.
political, but-
No, well, listen, it's
yeah.
4th of July, so let's celebrate. Let's celebrate the purge and get it. Yeah. No, you're right. It
Yeah.
is. It is. It is. It is. There's
But
a,
yeah.
there's a lot of the warning signs that people talked about with going too far with allowing just yeah. Yes.
But I would ask Andre Braugher. I just want to know what happened to him in that movie. Or maybe I don't.
No,
I'm
maybe
scared.
you don't. Maybe you don't. But yeah, no, he's really,
Maybe there's a sequel out there
yeah,
just
he's-
waiting to be made. Oh, I would love that.
He's such a, they're all great. He's such
I would
a
love to
talent.
make the Andre Braugher missed sequel
Yes.
spinoff.
Yes.
He's still out there somewhere.
And at some point in it, he absolutely needs to come across the corpse of Thomas Jane's Thomas
Car?
Jane's car,
The whole car.
everything,
Yeah.
all of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just that
Ooh.
abandoned car.
Yeah, we don't need a Walking Dead spinoff. We need that.
No, we need a missed spin. Well, they did just do a missed show though, but I don't think it
A
did
TV
well.
show, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think it got canceled after,
think so
after
too,
one
yeah.
season. Speaking of Thomas Jane, apropos of nothing, listeners, I just watched on Netflix 1922, the Stephen King novella they
Oh,
adapted.
really?
It's really good.
I haven't seen that.
Thomas Jane is I think it's Nebraska. I might get my state wrong there, but like a Nebraska farmer in 1922. It might be the best thing I've ever seen him do, and I
Really?
enjoy his work.
Me too. That says a lot.
He's really great in it. The movie itself is good, and it's not super scary, but
Yeah.
there's just it's like an acting tour de force for him.
Nice.
And he's in almost every scene.
Wow.
Awesome,
Very cool.
absolutely amazing. He's dynamite in it.
Well, I can't talk about Thomas Jane without talking about the amazingness of The Expanse. Do you watch The
The
Expanse?
Expanse, no. Is
You have to
he
watch it.
on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't that just get picked up
It
too?
just got
Isn't
picked
that
up
one of the
by
ones that got
Amazon.
saved?
Yep. Yeah. Everything I love
this.
is getting
I love
saved.
that things get saved. Because
Because they didn't get saved. Does it feel like they got saved when we were kids?
No, they never.
Yeah,
no,
everything
there,
just
there
went
were
away.
a couple instances. I
Very
think I
rare.
could think of them in a second, but
We're living in a
I need to
golden
put
age.
this out there. We need to save The Last Man on Earth. I need to get
Oh,
a final
yeah.
wrap up.
Yeah,
I need to
a lot
get
of people do.
a 2-hour Netflix movie.
I'm surprised that didn't get
Just
something.
something. Give me
Yeah.
a 2-hour movie or a 6-episode.
I feel
thing.
like there's a time limit. Like I feel like it hasn't happened by now,
I
it
think
might-
you're right,
which is sad.
Which is really sad because
I feel
especially
like it'd
that
be-
show
It
is so.
just screams Hulu.
Yes, it totally does. I really hope that gets picked up.
Yeah.
Like,
Me too.
Well, no, Tina Fey, she's got her show on Netflix, right?
Yeah. Kimmy Schmidt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she's tied in with Will Forte. I'm assuming they're friends.
Everybody
They work
knows
together for
everybody.
so- right?
Yeah.
Let's make this happen.
Do the other comedians just not love Will Forte? Is that what we're learning?
Oh, no. I think a lot of people like Will
They
Forte.
better.
He's a talented dude.
I mean, they're not saving the show.
I know.
I don't want to
That's-
call anybody out.
Well,
Tina
we
Fey,
need some
but-
moguls. We need moguls. Not about the comedians, I guess. We need moguls
Right.
like Tina Fey
Yeah.
or a Letterman step in.
Yeah.
Did Letterman, do you hate Will Forte?
I don't think. I think Letterman just.
The Obamas just got to deal with Netflix. Please let one of their.
Best man
What if
on
they
earth.
did? What if the Obamas deal? Because I'm assuming it's going to be high end, like documentary, save the world kind of stuff. But what if it's like, here's a day with Malala, and here's another 2-hour episode about global warming. Here's a 2-hour show about police violence or violence in gun violence in America, and then here's the finale
new
of the
season of Last Man on Earth.
And in it, we find out that Barack Obama is one of the guys that was
Still
saved,
alive.
that's still
Absolutely.
alive. And it's just,
I mean, if that doesn't set him up as America's hero, I don't know what will.
And just like in the tradition of that show, how for the first season they would bring a guy like Will Ferrell on, and they'd bring him in for like one scene, and then he would get shot in the face.
Yeah.
Bring Obama on, and then something terrible happens to
Yeah.
him. Yes,
I'm
they're like, oh
down.
my God, Barack Obama, you lived, and then
Is anybody out there listening?
Listen,
Obama.
Barack, you're a huge G.I. Joe fan, so I know you've got your finger on the pulse of G.I. Joe podcasts.
And I feel like if G.I. Joe existed today,
Yeah.
we'll get to this in a little bit. I know we're going to talk about exclusive figures.
Yes,
I feel like there would be an Obama or mail-in G.I. Joe
there
figure.
should be. Yeah,
there
there should.
there
be.
should be anyway.
There should.
Even if
No,
there aren't
you know what
G.I.
there
Joes.
would be. You know what there would be. They'd do with John McCain.
Okay.
That's what they would do,
I'd go with
because
that.
I feel like they would do that because
He's in the military.
he was a military.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like
absolutely.
with because they never did presidents. Like
Right.
they didn't do that
Right.
before, even for like Reagan. I mean,
Yeah.
this was in the middle
Yeah.
of Reagan era.
Yeah.
So I don't feel they would do that. But if
Sergeant,
like
Sergeant Slaughter wasn't a president.
well, they did do the real.
My history's
Sergeant
a little
Slaughter.
gray.
You're right. They did do the real Sergeant Slaughter. He is true. That is true. But like let's say like Eisenhower
Right.
was president during
The founder of G.I.
Yes, like I have a feeling they would do like
There's a
an
great
Eisenhower.
real-world reboot in this somewhere for G.I. Joe.
Oh yeah, where he's the guy who founded
Yeah.
G.I. Joe. He's like, oh, man, we got to keep it real.
So what is your history with G.I. Joe?
I grew up on this stuff. I mean, I was a kid of the 80s, like G.I. Joe, He-Man, Thundercats. Not so much Transformers. I like the cartoon Transformers, but I never got into the toys as much because they were just really expensive and messy.
Man,
but I was like,
real quick side tangent. We had a couple Transformers come through the shop yesterday. I can no longer transform Transformers.
Yeah,
I couldn't figure it out.
I feel like they're trying to look like the movie Transformers.
No. These were G1s. These were
really?
old. Yeah, they were
You
like, it
can't
was
do it.
Perceptor. I couldn't figure it out. It was, and I just kept them. We put them on the shelf for sale.
That was my problem. I hated solving puzzles and Rubik's
but
Cube.
I used to be able to do it.
Like, don't give me those fucking.
I'm afraid of breaking them now. So So go on. Yeah. So you were into Transformers.
But yeah, I was into all that stuff. Like I was even into like Silverhawks and it was at the Galaxy Rangers. Like it was 80s and cartoons. I was like, we lived in the zenith of Saturday morning cartoons.
What part of the world you grew up in?
Midwest, Michigan.
Midwest, Michigan. Yeah.
So
Nice.
yeah,
8 Mile.
A little above that.
So we were probably on the same time zone then. Well, I mean, we were literally in the same
you were
time.
in
But as far as
Illinois?
like, Chicago. But as far as like the the block of programming,
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Like for me, it was on Channel 9 WGN,
I
G.I.
don't
Joe, and
remember.
Transformers. Channel 9. It like broadcast everywhere. I think that was the big thing.
Yeah, because there was only 3 channels.
Yeah,
when we were growing
exactly.
up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was big. I had all the toys. I watched all the cartoons. I had the Terrordrome.
Nice.
Set. I had the Rolling Thunder. Do you remember that vehicle?
Sure.
Monstrous. I think I tried to get. I wanted the
Aircraft carrier.
aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
But
That's.
I don't know if anybody actually had that.
Oh, they did, and there weren't many. There are pictures of so many of those sitting on the shelves because they were so expensive.
Yeah.
And now
they don't make toys like that.
they don't. No, they're okay. So we're recording this. It's the weekend of JoeCon. I hope.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it is. So I hope everyone who went, all our listeners who were there. I know a bunch of you. I know you guys were there. I hope everyone had a wonderful time. I loved seeing the pictures. I was retweeting everything because they were amazing.
Where's that at?
Oh, this year was in Chattanooga.
Okay.
And unfortunately, it's actually the last year of it too.
What?
So
Somebody will bring it back.
I hope so. It
G.I.
went out.
Joe's
It went
forever.
out with a big bang, and it looks like a great time. There was a dude dressed. Do you remember the Televipers who had the words that went backwards across their screen? There was a dude with a costume that he had LED lights that scrolled backwards words. Yeah,
That's awesome.
there were guys. I saw guys in cosplay as Cobra Commander and Destro dressed as they were in disguise from the comic book. So like it's a real deep cut, like there weren't figures made of these guys, and they had their look with the mustache and the beret, and it looked like there was just so much great, toy trading and just a wonderful community stuff. Yeah, and one of the pictures, multiple flags. So we're sitting at a table right now that's about, what is this, like 4.5 foot or something? The flag was 6 footer.
Yeah.
So this picture, the flag's sticking off both ends of this table right here, Dan. Great for podcasting visualization.
I don't know.
Multiple, you can fit like 4 skyscrapers on it.
Right.
Normally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine.
I couldn't even.
Yeah, we had a big backyard, and I would set up the Terrordrome and this little section that I called an island, and I had every vehicle. We just stage invasion.
What happened to them? Are they still around? They still at your parents?
No, I think at some point in my late teens or so, it was a big garage sale in the neighborhood. Yeah. So there was always garage sales, and
you sold your toys.
I regret all of it. No, yeah. Oh my gosh! If I'd known eBay was going to come up when we were kids, if any of us knew,
I know
nothing would get thrown out.
I didn't know it, but I didn't let my mom. We had a few we didn't do a ton of garage sales, but we did have a couple over the years, and I was always like, "No, you are not touching any."
I think it was just because I was growing up too. Not to say that.
No!
But like I needed space.
Up. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
It was more about space.
Why
so I got rid of things and I just replaced it with other junk.
But see, my comics. I was like, what was I replacing it with? Like my comics just sat in a box.
I like turned into like video games, books, comics.
Yeah.
In like junior high and high school and
the good stuff.
Yeah. Like I couldn't, because I like to display everything too. So all those action figures were just taken up.
So you don't have any of those action figures anymore?
They're all gone.
Oh,
yeah.
Love it.
I know.
Love it. Who was your favorite figure, like character?
Gosh, I don't.
And Snake Eyes, of course, is Snake Eyes.
Snake Eyes is cool. I don't really remember. That's a good question.
Do you have any memories of the original cartoon, like any episodes that stand out? Because we're watching
today. Yeah, for me,
listeners, we're watching from the DSC shows. We're watching An Officer and a Viperman, and that is past
what season
both
would
of
that
our.
be?
This is like season 3, but this
Really?
is this
That's
is like
the weird thing. Like,
it's the second version of G.I. Joe. These are the ones that were. These are the ones.
That's
that were
crazy
in
how you
Canada.
remember things because there weren't that many seasons.
No.
But it feels like I watched it for years, and
Yeah.
I don't remember this episode.
Well, because
at all.
they made so many. There were 93 or something episodes of the good stuff.
Yeah.
And then they were just on air every day and in such different order. I mean, this episode aired on October 24th, 1990. You know, so and
Yeah.
it started airing. The show started airing in what 85.
Yeah,
That was the
Is that right?
84, 80,
Okay.
84, and then 85, and then so there was 5 years of reruns, you know, that we watched until we got to this this
I guess
final season.
Programming
So
was a lot different back then.
yeah, I had certainly put down the Joes at the point, so I never saw these until they came out on DVD. And
One of the episodes I remember early on was the intro. Maybe it was the intro. I remember it as the intro of Quick Kick when he joined the team.
yeah,
I think they just happened upon a movie shoot,
yes,
basically, and they said, "Hey, come along, join us." And he's like,
exactly
"Yeah,
right.
I got
Yeah.
it. I got my sash on. I'm in."
he was doing a commercial in the Arctic.
Yeah,
For Fudgy, was it Fudgy the Whale or Fudgy's Popsicles? And
because they need a stunt guy.
yeah, and they his director abandoned him, and he had no shirt on.
yeah.
I feel like that's a union violation.
Probably.
You should know.
Yeah.
You're on sets.
I mean,
like
you're in the Arctic. There's not much oversight, so they probably skirted the lines quite a bit.
Yeah. Okay, I see.
Ridiculous.
I see what's going on.
Did he even have shoes? Quick Kick was
no,
barefoot, wasn't he?
No, he's barefoot.
Gosh.
He was barefoot in the Arctic, shirtless.
Yeah,
and
but that was the beauty of G.I. Joe. That's what I loved about it, is that it basically told you that you, Joe, if we happen upon you and we need you, you could fight for your country.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Any one of us
Uh-huh.
could stand up and do the right thing.
It's how they met Shipwreck.
Yeah,
Like they met him at a bar.
yeah.
And he helped him out.
Come along, help us
they
out.
were like, come on. On DIC, that's how they met. There's a guy called Scoop that's on these shows. He's a cameraman.
Yeah,
And he was literally assigned to the unit as a cameraman, not as an army guy
Right.
at all. He actually was a spy, but beyond that,
course.
he ended up helping him out and being a good guy. And they were like, yeah, join the team. what are we doing here?
I feel like if they redo the movies as they should, some of them are fine. That's an angle that they really need to pursue.
Just-
the everyman quality of
Yeah.
stepping up and helping your country.
Maybe that's how they'll finally get like different costumes on people.
Yes.
Because all the people that step up and they do it at a big gymnasium, right? Like there's your core Joes, your Hawk, your Duke, your Roadblock, and they're like, whoa, Cobra's attacking this town and we need everyone's help.
All we have is this sash with Chinese stars.
Yeah.
in it.
And they're like, who's gonna stand up? And one dude's like, I just came from my martial arts training class. My name's Quick Kick. Can I help? And be like,
It's
yeah,
basically
a guy in a sailor outfit stands up. He's like, I just came from a bar in West Hollywood. Can I help? Like, yes, you're in.
You're in.
You're in. A guy in full leather mask. Like, I also came from a bar.
It's basically
Like, you're
just
in
one
too,
long
Snake Eyes.
movie of the Deadpool audition scene from
Yes.
Deadpool 2.
Yes. That's it.
You're all in
You're all in. And then they all die horribly. Spoiler alert.
because none of them are trained.
Because
for
none
anything.
of them are trained.
And
Well,
Quick Kick's not wearing his shoes.
Dan, I know our fans are going to love you, so we can find you
hope
online at Beelzebub. So your last name is Beals, Beals.
Correct.
Then an E, then a Bub. So Beelzebub.
Yep.
It's super easy to remember.
Yeah. It's a silly little nickname that
Yeah.
some friends of mine gave me in high school.
Because you were a devil worshiper.
Ish.
Ish.
By devils, you mean comics.
Comic-ish worshiper.
It was great. And I had a great life in high school. Simultaneously, I worked at a movie theater and at a comic store.
Wow.
Yeah.
We might have
And,
had the same life.
It was wonderful.
We
And
might
the
have-
guys who ran the comic store, they started calling me Beelzebub.
That's funny.
And I just kind of kept it. And
It
I
works,
liked
man.
it.
It totally.
Yeah.
It's a great handle.
Yeah.
So, and you got to go to Beelzebub.com, see some of your work.
Yep.
And pay attention to this prepping this feature, which of when
Slowly
when,
but surely,
listen,
it's coming. It's great.
If you need,
Very
if
excited.
you need an extra of a large bald man with a beard who's
Yeah.
just like who has a face, like I don't have to speak,
kinda
but
wrote
the
that.
face looks like he's way into GI Joe. I'd be like, I got a guy. I'm just saying.
It's funny. I have a paragraph that pretty much says that verbatim.
Yeah, hello.
Ooh.
It's because I slipped that into your script when you weren't looking.
Oh, is that?
Yeah. And
I
while
write
you're on the internet,
intoxicated
yeah,
a lot,
you,
so I don't even remember what I
you
write.
should follow me as well. Go to @JoeOnJoePod. That's on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. And if you're a listener of the show and you want to help support the show, help keep the lights on
As you
here,
should.
please go to patreon.com/JoeOnJoePod, and you can see how you can help keep the lights on here at Fort Wadsworth. For only $1 a month, just $1 a month, you can just say, "Hey, I love the show. Thanks for making it," and help support that way. Or for $3 a month, only $3 a month, you get exclusive access to Joe on Joe Illustrated. Dan, I go through every single issue of the comic book,
I believe it.
page by page,
Yeah.
panel by panel.
You have a problem, but I love it.
Yeah, and we break it down.
That's great.
We talk
You should.
comic theory. We talk history of comics. It is. I know
there's-
more about comics than I
there's-
do about cartoons.
There's no doubt you love G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
I've seen your podcasts or videos where you're reading G.I. Joe
It's-
Choose Your Own Adventure books.
We're going to start a new one in July.
That's great.
Yeah, we're going to be doing one in July too. Yeah.
$1 or $3 a month.
$1,
huh?
$3 a month. $3 a month gets you access.
Kids,
to
you spent more on G.I. Joes as a kid than you did right there.
It's you know what?
you
That's
should
so
help
right. I
out.
think they were like $2.99. Yeah. So with tax.
So
Yeah.
if you love G.I. Joe
Oh,
and you
man.
don't support this podcast, do you really love G.I. Joe?
Boom. Out of
don't
the
wanna call
devil's
anyone
mouth.
out.
Out of Beelzebub's mouth himself. So Dan, get ready, man. We're going to
Oh my
watch it. It's an
gosh.
officer and a Viperman.
I guarantee I haven't seen this.
I love the name. I actually like the episode. It's a good episode, yeah, and it's pretty good. So happy 4th of July, everyone who's listening.
Happy 4th of
Happy
July.
4th of July.
G.I. Joe on 4th of July. What's
I
better?
mean, what's better? Nothing really. So with that, we're going to get
America.
started. So Captain America he'd be an amazing G.I. Joe.
Gosh, yeah.
There was never a G.I.
I
Joe
love
Cap
their action figures.
crossover.
I don't want to
Yeah.
get off the tangent real quick.
We'll get on that tangent on the episode. What do you say we start the show?
yeah, let's do it.
Let's do
I
it.
could
All
talk
right.
forever.
Here we go. That hot synthesizer. I mean,
I remember this. I remember this new theme.
do you remember? Yeah.
No.
It's a catchy theme.
It's
It
kind
is
of
catchy
it's a
thing, for
play
sure.
on the movie theme.
Well,
Got to get tough. Yo, Joe.
Yeah.
The rest of this I do not
you know,
remember.
Funny, the movie theme was actually a Cobra theme.
Yeah.
I mean, there was the G.I. Joe, like, I guess, refrain, I guess it would be at the end, or chorus,
Yeah,
or
because
whatever.
the whole intro is
But it's all Cobra.
Cobra attacking the Statue of Liberty.
Yes, and it's just Cobra, Cobra, Cobra,
Oh
and
my
then G.I.
gosh.
Joe comes in at the end, which is obviously we've talked at length about
Yeah.
that movie. It's so great. Do you
These
recognize
characters-
any of these
character
characters?
designs are so ridiculous, and I'm saying that about G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember any of this. There's so much more color and so much more
Do you
over
remember
the top.
Cobra Commander's
I
battle
do.
armor? Yeah.
I had that, but it's like there's no attempt at uniform at all for
No.
either side.
No.
It's just like everybody wear what you want.
Yes.
Come on
Yeah.
over.
I mean, they got, but to be fair, they got away from that. We're going to Officer and Viperman, written by Michael Hill. They got away from that after the first generation.
Did they?
You know, yeah.
Okay.
Everyone was green, and then all of a
Yeah,
sudden
yeah.
it was people in football jerseys.
Oh my gosh.
He's right, Sarge. They knew our moves before we
So that's
knew
Ambush.
themselves.
That's
They chased
Pathfinder.
us right back.
That is, he's topside, I believe. He's not used very often. This
Now,
might
did-
be this might be the first time he had a. Yeah, that's topside, and there he
Oh,
is,
voice work
Command
is
Sergeant
amazing.
Slaughter.
It is, and it is still Sergeant Slaughter, is it?
It's his voice. Yeah,
He's still
it's his,
doing it?
absolutely
Okay.
his voice. Yeah.
He never stopped, did he?
Well,
Was it always him
I mean,
doing his own voice?
yes, he's always does
Okay.
his own voice, but also spiritually, no, Sergeant Slaughter never stops. Like, don't ever think that Sergeant Slaughter stops. Like, look at him. He's got his beating stick. Like, that's great.
He's got some killer abs.
He looks good. Actually, he looks really good in this episode.
Everybody's got
the,
like a weird hat. It's like Weird Hat Day at
I'm
G.I.
going to
Joe.
say this. I like the look of this episode a lot.
Yeah.
Normally, and you haven't seen all these.
No.
The animation
Been
on
forever.
these. So this was done by a different company, just to short term it, and it was done cheaper.
It's got that mass produced.
Yes, and
Animation.
it wasn't done as well as the ones that you probably remember when
Right.
we were younger. But this episode looks great. I
Comparatively.
really like this episode. Yeah.
Which
So-
Viper is this?
well, he's a Crimson Guard elite.
That's right.
Yeah. So
Great
Crimson-
toys.
Yeah, well, you remember
I
so
love
there were
those
the Crimson
figures.
Guardsmen.
Yeah.
And then this is like the elite. So this is like the Emperor's Royal Guards that wore all the red robes.
You and our other
So we got the Joes.
to the Cobra
They're going to infiltrate
Academy.
Cobra and sign up to, be spies.
Yeah, of course.
It's like spy troops before spy troops. But I love that this aired in 1990. One that looks like Gung Ho, first
Yeah,
of all.
of
That
course.
absolutely looked like Gung Ho.
Repurposed.
But this is 1990 Cyclops. And they look like they're from the Warriors in 1978.
Of course.
Like, that's this.
And this Cobra base has to be on American soil.
Well, it is. But
I feel like
it,
there was a lot of American soil terrorism going on in the 80s.
a ton. Look at Destro's outfit, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I had this
Look
figure.
at Destro's
I
outfit.
didn't, okay, I didn't have that hat.
Right.
But I had that action figure with the cape.
Oh, the gold one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember him.
Did you have Pimp Daddy Destro?
I don't know.
They did a version. They didn't call him Pimp Daddy, but everyone
That's a
refers to him
shame.
as Pimp Destro. He has leopard print on him. Oh, yeah. They were doing a lot of jungle, like
We're gonna have
tiger
to go to
theme
eBay
stuff. They were
after
doing like
this and find
Tiger
that.
Force and animal stuff, and they thought like they thought a leopard print would work, and he just looks like a
I mean,
pimp.
when you're wearing a gold metal mask.
Right. I mean, he's halfway
only
there
one way to
with
go.
a chain, and then he's halfway.
Why is
there.
it everybody who has metal mask, their mouth always moves? It's him. It's Steel from Superman.
Yes. Iron
Just
Man.
details
In
matter.
the cartoons.
Really?
No. Did Iron
Did
Man's
he?
mouth
I don't know
move
if
in
he
the
did.
cartoons?
Maybe
No,
it-
they didn't.
I don't know.
No, he didn't. But you're right. You're right.
It bothers me.
But next time, if
It
someone
shouldn't
falls
bother me
off
because I'm a
the
grown
cliff,
man, but
be sure
it bothers me.
because you
It's
put
funny that because the mouth moves, then they go to great lengths to like in the G.I. Joe first G.I. Joe movie to show that it's not just a steel mask; it's like a living steel.
Yeah.
You know, like in
Yeah.
order to give him facial expressions instead of just putting
No,
a dude
it's
in a mask.
scarier if it's a man in an iron mask.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy. Oh, wow.
So that's
Look at
Ambush, and he's training to be. They're all training to be like different types
Dreadnoughts?
of vipers. No,
Oh,
different
vipers?
vipers. Yeah.
Okay.
This guy is training to be an Undertow, which is like the next generation of the Cobra.
Oh,
Eels.
wow. Look at that.
Yeah.
lazy electric eel.
They couldn't get Deadshot. They always use electric eels and weird water
Well,
animals.
between
and-
electric eels and
amazing.
quicksand, there were so many natural dangers that I thought I'd be encountering on a regular basis as an adult, and I've never met an electric eel, and
I
I've
wanna
never gotten caught in
see-
quicksand.
We better see Dwayne Johnson in some quicksand in the next movie.
Well, first of all, we're getting Dwayne Johnson minus a leg in a few weeks.
I know.
Like that skyscraper movie looks so amazing. It's like they thought, okay, we got Die Hard,
Yeah.
but if we put Dwayne
We're gonna
Johnson in Die Hard,
Die
Die Hard would
Hard.
be over in like a half hour.
Die Hard, taller.
Yeah. If he was in Die Hard would be about a half hour long and the movie would be over. How can we even the odds? I got an idea. Let's take one of his legs off.
Take one of his legs off, make
Boom.
the building taller.
And let it on fire.
Yeah.
Done. Done and done. I'm going to be there day one
Oh, my
for
gosh.
Skyscraper. Absolutely.
You're going to have to let me know how it is.
I loved Rampage.
I haven't seen it.
Rampage was great.
Looked fun. But I haven't seen it.
The Jungle, not Jungle Book, Jumanji, the remake
Love
was great.
Jumanji. It was a lot of fun.
It's The Rock.
Ridiculous.
I mean, he was Roadblock in G.I. Joe. Come on.
These two aren't
He made
exhausted
that
at
second
all.
movie even better.
In fact, they seem to have plenty of time to chew.
I love the
Must mean that
the,
Mr.
the,
Green
the
and
detail
Mr.
on
Osborne
Destro's
here
thighs.
On his thighs.
Like, look at it. Like, you see it? Like the little, yeah, it's fantastic. But so
They're
here's what's
really-
funny is all the as they're training to be these Cobra troops. Whenever they do something that's self-protective but bad towards their quote
Yeah.
teammate, that's what gets applauded. Destro's like, good job. Like, you sold that guy
job.
out. You threw the instructor off the cliff. Good job. That's what Cobras do. And it's like,
Real
that's
hero
so
wouldn't
funny.
write a book and tell you that he was a hero. A
Sanitized
real hero.
evil.
Yeah.
Here he comes.
Here it comes.
And this
You
kid
played your
is
cards right. You could be the next Cobra Commander.
here's the deal. So this kid, if a closer paint, he's like the rookie. He's a
Yeah.
legit. He wants to be Cobra, right?
He's G.I. Joe's
Yeah.
Rick Jones.
Right, but he's not a G.I. Joe guy yet. He's just a legit Cobra training. I feel like this kid's backstory is dark. He comes
book
from a
there.
damaged home. Think about
What's
it.
his name?
I don't know. I don't know. Probably usually in a story like this, it's Billy. It's usually always Billy, right? But like, he's so young. He's a teenager, right? Going to join Cobra. That
Yeah.
means he comes from a house full of abuse, drugs, abuse, and more abuse.
He's just looking to belong.
Yeah, he just wants to belong.
it's a
somewhere.
very timely
and he
story.
Thinks
I think
Cobra
now
Commander
is-
has a nice red hat he can borrow.
Introduce three
Yeah.
recruits who have displayed great
Yeah,
aptitude
seriously,
in
though.
3 Rs.
This Billy kid's
Yeah, I feel
background
like you could
story.
tell his
My brain is
story.
filling in. It's filling in really terrible, dark things. for
Well,
him.
just turn on the news.
Yeah.
His code name would be Lone Wolf.
But before you can join
Billy's
the
an
Enterprise
incel.
must lead you
Oh,
With that haircut,
gosh.
he's totally an insult.
Another, who's that guy?
Well, that was Destro smiling,
I
and
thought
for
it was
some
just
reason,
another
for no
guy in a
reason,
gold
he's in
mask.
it. Yeah, and here's it. If I'm Destro, why am I sitting in this crowd? I got
That's what
other
threw me
things to
off.
do, but we're gonna go to commercial and be right back.
these messages.
Today's file card is on the G.I. Joe Snow Trooper, codenamed Iceberg. His file name is Clifton L. Nash, and his primary military specialty is the infantry. His secondary military specialty is cold weather survival instructor. He's from Brownsville, Texas, and he's a grade E5. Iceberg hates hot weather. In Bronzeville in the summer, you can spit on the sidewalk and watch it sizzle. While other kids saved up for bicycles, Iceberg saved up for an air conditioner. When he was old enough to enlist, he signed up and asked for duty in Alaska. He had found his element. He's a qualified expert in the M16A2, the M79, the M60, and the M1911A1. Quote, we have plenty of cold weather specialists that can stand the cold well enough, but very few that like it. Iceberg's just not happy until the mercury dips below zero. It's not to say that he's unaware of the dangers of cold weather or that he's impervious to the lethal effects of hypothermia. Rather, his love for ultra-cold climates has forced him to learn every aspect of Arctic survival. I really dug Iceberg for a couple of reasons. One, let's look at this file card. Brownsville, Texas. On the show, Iceberg, if you remember, was always very, very fond of reminding you that he was from Brownsville, Texas. He said like 5 times in every episode he was on, it's not cold like this down in Texas. It was awesome. Secondly, here's what's great on this file card. He says he's not to say he's unaware of the dangers or that he is impervious to the lethal effects of hypothermia. Technically, he was, because Iceberg got turned into a killer whale during one of the episodes. He had a pretty stark white outfit with green accoutrement on him, grenades and gloves and stuff like that. So that still kept him in that camouflage look for his snow operatives. I hate when they put people in special weather conditions and the look just doesn't really match where they're supposed to be working. He also had a stone white rifle, which was really cool. The only thing about his figure that is disappointing, like he didn't come with anything beyond his rifle. He just came with his rifle. He didn't have snowshoes or skis or anything like that. It was a little like, that's all you could give him. But I love the look of him. He's got a really great look. I love that they made him African American. Set him in. I like the dichotomy of making him from Texas, and he loves the cold. And I always thought he worked really well riding in the Snowcat. He looked excellent riding that Snowcat. And so Iceberg, Clifton L. Nash, we salute you. Yeah. And it just dawned on me that I think it's more fun. I have more fun watching these and kind of like poking fun at the moments in them when it's an episode that I like.
Oh, really?
When it's like a silly, kind of a dumb episode, it's not as much fun. And so like our conversations tend to be a little more not about the show. Yeah. But this is actually a cool episode.
It's a weird episode because I don't recognize anybody.
Well, sure.
There's so many,
Maybe we can get
I want to say third-tier characters, but maybe they were
first tier
at this point.
They were first tier for this. So the way it worked is they would feature the guys that were on sale at the time. And these were the guys. So did all my
favorites just retire by this point? Where's everybody? Where's Shipwreck? Where's Quick Kick?
They're not on these episodes. They weren't for sale. So they weren't featured on any of the
new
cartoons.
toys to sell, so
that's exactly right. And from the Cobra perspective, all the toys that were for sale, they were all different versions of Vipers. They got away from really personality guys and just went Vipers to try to get you to buy 5 copies of it.
Of course.
Right. Which makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. It's the same reason why they would repaint and repackage, versions of them. But because of that,
Bengali.
There's the only 2 real characters. Well, there's Metalhead, I guess. So there's 3 characters: Metalhead, Cobra Commander, and Destro. Because all the other guys that were for sale were just different iterations of Vipers,
soldiers.
Yeah. So we get more personality on Vipers in these in this season than we do in anything else.
Right. Because in the beginning they were just those blue
the
basic soldiers.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. They didn't talk at all.
Yeah.
Like they were.
The only difference was the color of their.
Yes.
Mask, I think.
Yeah, the mask, right? Or the one they'd have different
or the logo
insignias, right? They have silver insignia, red insignia, right? But on this version of the show, now,
God, can you imagine
there's Captain Gridiron.
He's the
football guy. We were talking off mic about him a little bit. And this sneak attack is really tearing it up, and they've captured a bunch of Joes. That's General Hawk. That's his new outfit. It's questionable. He's got a jetpack suit on, and it's a questionable.
I had the original General Hawk with the helmet.
The good-looking one.
Yeah,
with the bomber jacket. Yeah. That's actually the second one.
You don't get better.
He was
than
one of the
jacket.
original greens.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of people forget that because he only came with one of the vehicles. He wasn't a loose or like on a solo card. And then when they brought him back, his bomber jacket looked so good.
Yeah.
How are you going to top?
You can't top that.
No, you can't.
As we're witnessing here.
Yeah. So real quick, they just talked about that Cobra was after a vehicle called the Battle Axe, which we're going to see later in this episode. That's it right there. I can't find. That's not an actual toy.
They never made that.
But there were 2 toys that were called the Battle Axe that G.I. Joe did make, but it's not this.
That.
So I'm not sure what this is, or if this became something else. Maybe they named it differently.
Maybe.
But the only real vehicle that was a battle axe was a ninja car from like 94.
Really?
And it was like an air vehicle that one of the Ninja Force would ride in.
As they should.
Yeah. And then there was a small weapon pack that was called Battle Axe that was for the Dreadnoks, but it just basically was an axe.
I mean,
it wasn't a vehicle.
They couldn't top the Rolling Thunder, so maybe they just said, let's not bother. Like
This
this guy has a metal helmet shaped like a skull.
Oh, yeah,
He even
that's-
has like
Range
brain
Vipers,
imprints.
yeah, and they look like zombies. Yeah, we've talked about that a lot on the show. I don't understand why. It's to scare people, I guess. But they're the survivalist.
Can we talk about how? Would you be scared if there was a terrorist attack on American soil with pink army vehicles? I don't know if I would or not.
I think you actually.
but I'm witnessing that, and I'm like,
I think
that's a bold move. That's a statement.
I think you just described Mike Pence's waking nightmare. Is what I think.
Well, or his secret desire.
You just did. Yeah. Seriously though, this animation's great.
Yeah.
And
For the time period. And
yeah, no, and I could show you episodes from this era that are
I
not
believe
this
it.
good. This is.
I
I
believe it.
wonder if this was actually done possibly by a different crew, because this is like old school good.
This is the day
This
the
is
art
old- this
director
is old
showed
school
up and he
good.
cared.
Yeah. Well, you know who is the art director on this? Do you remember the comic artist Chuck Patton from
No.
did a bunch of Justice League stuff? Right around the Detroit era.
Oh wow.
Yeah, with
Wow,
so
that's
Vibe
great.
and that's Chuck Patton went from drawing comics to doing to working in animation, and he's a super nice dude. I've met him a
Yeah.
couple times. Like, and he's
Wonderful.
a talented guy. He just happened to be overseeing one of the worst eras of Joe cartoons, but.
Well,
We've
got-
said it before.
he got lemonade.
Well, we've said it before
Where
that
he
the
could.
designs look great. They're
Yeah.
super toy centric.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
just the money spent on the.
Look, I
actual
mean, you have to
animation.
understand what the mission statement is too. We got
Save money.
Toys R Us
push
out there. We
toys.
got to fill that up.
Yeah, exactly. Man, rest in
Whole
peace,
different
Toys
world.
R Us moment. So where did you get your toys? We talked earlier. Talking about, did you do a lot of the mail-in stuff?
I did some mail-in stuff. Yeah, I had the fridge, William Perry,
Yeah, you did.
with his metal football on a chain.
Yeah.
I had Sergeant
You're
Slaughter,
looking at
of
the
course.
Fridge. I'm the rookie. I may be large, but I'm no dumb cookie.
I don't remember this.
You seen me hit, you seen me run. When I kick and pass, we'll have more fun.
Wow.
I can dance. You will see
don't
the
think I could-
others. They all learn from me. I didn't come here looking for trouble. I just came to do the Super Bowl shuffle.
I have no words.
That's-
It's going to be the
listen,
worst
listen, I
podcast going forward because I
No.
can't talk anymore.
Listen, I'll sign autographs later. Two, I could do it all.
I know you can.
I'm a triple threat
Sometimes
when
I
it comes to the
forget
Super Bowl
that.
shuffle.
As I just did.
So this is great. So we find out that Cobra's big plan is cockroaches are actual bugs. Like bugs are bugs. Like they're actual
Yeah.
bugs. And that's what he's using. And they're attracted to General Hawk's cookies.
I've been listening to
Because General
every
Hawk
secret
apparently
meeting
loves
he's
chocolate
attended
chip cookies.
since my bugs have been on the job.
If I could go back in time, I think I would be at home writing cartoons in the 80s.
I know, right?
Traitor.
Like,
Not because you don't have to work so hard, but because it's just such
you can have
a
fun
welcome
with it.
environment for any weird idea.
yes.
God knows I have weird ideas.
I'd like to think that this is a little bit of a trial ground for the Martian Manhunter's passion for Oreos. General Hawk just had a passion for cookies.
He
and
was
that's-
General Hawk.
It was General Hawk.
Maybe
yeah,
he was.
maybe. Yeah, he could
Crossover.
transmogrify.
20017.
I'm like, why does he have to talk like that? Take a breath, Sergeant Slaughter.
Never heard of it. Now you tell
You
me.
think
No,
he
his
says-
his
you hear
rectum
that
is
at home
just,
from
his rectum
wife?
is tight,
Like
24/7.
Like, Sergeant, why are you so angry all
Breathe,
the time? I
man.
just wanted to watch the news. I mean, come on.
Is he still alive?
Yeah.
Good.
Yep. We got
I wanna see what he's
a bunch
got.
of friends of the show are big wrestling guys, and they keep us. I think they said he's living out in the
Again.
Carolinas area.
Okay.
He's on Twitter, and every time we talk about him on this show and we tweet him out, I get a retweet. It's
Awesome.
I'm sure it's probably
No.
not him, but it's
Definite staple of my childhood.
Oh, he's the best.
Because I was watching wrestling back then
Yeah.
too.
And-
I'm not into it so much anymore,
Yeah.
but as a kid, yeah.
He
That's a
left the
family activity.
WWF in order to be a part of the G.I. Joe show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did.
Good.
Because WWF said, we own your license, like we own your likeness. We won't let you do both. And he said, well, then I quit.
Bye-bye.
I'm going to go be a part of
Yeah.
American Heroes.
Americana.
We'll be right back.
Hey, listeners, I'm not sure if you've heard the news, but Joe and Joe has started a Patreon, and I'm inviting you along for the ride. Go to patreon.com/Joe and Joe Pod and check out my page.
Right now, there are 2 opportunities for you to help support the show. You can choose to be a Grunt or a Viper. Grunts get access to all the Joe and Joe episodes and early access to new episodes as they're created. Vipers get all that and access to my all-new spin-off podcast, Joe on Joe Illustrated, where I will be breaking down every single issue of the G.I. Joe comic books page by page in the deepest dive you'll ever hear on G.I. Joe. So go to patreon.com/JoeOnJoePod and see what's happening over at the Fort Wadsworth Motor Pool. We'll see you there. And I think that was absolutely the right
Absolutely.
call. Like, yeah, no, I'll come
He's
back to
definitely.
I'll come back to destroy my body in the ring later. For now, I'm going to become a literal superhero with an action figure and a
He
cartoon.
branded himself to millions of kids across the country.
You're absolutely right.
And like we're still talking about him now. I don't know if I'd be talking about him if he was just another wrestler from the 80s.
Yep.
Only another wrestler.
And then there was right around the time of Desert Storm, which was like a year after this show aired, I think. That's when WWF just randomly made him a heel and had him team up with the Iron Sheik.
Really?
Yeah. It was all really bad timing. And then all of a sudden it was like, he's a traitor. It's like, no.
Awesome.
Recruits, so this is your fault as well.
Cobra Commander's so very upset with Destro.
It's not very intimidating. I don't know why Destro would be scared. After all these years,
Yeah,
you have to learn.
Especially because he's a man with this cookie. They're putting on a radio play.
Right.
They're reading a script so that Cobra Commander thinks something's happening that
It's a
really
good plan.
isn't. But Destro's a man with his own money.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of times you kind of eat dirt because you're like, well, I need this job or I need this person's connections. Destro's his own man.
Should have been running the show the whole time.
Yeah. I mean, he even at this period, that's his Iron Grenadiers, his Iron Grenadiers uniform. So he had his own army going on. See, he hasn't gotten paid.
I want that mace and I want it today.
He hasn't gotten paid from Cobra Commander.
Doesn't make any sense.
So, Dan, one of my favorite things on the show is I love to ask my guests, if you could be a member of the Joe or Cobra team, who would you be? Like, what team? What would your specialty be? And let's get you a snappy
Always going to
code
be
name.
a Joe.
Always going to be a Joe.
Remember there was a mail-away figure where you could name it, give him his
your
own
own Joe. Like he was
make
like
your own Joe.
He
He
was
just
like
kind of had a
blank,
helmet
faceless-
and things like that. I sent in for that, and my name was Skull Crusher.
Skull
I
Crusher.
don't remember what my specialty was, if anything. But here's who I was as a child. I sent in with my order a picture of myself, and I said, "Hey, I'll pay extra. Can you do a mold of my face and put it on instead?" I was that arrogant. It didn't happen.
It didn't happen. Did they write back to you like, no, kid? Or did you ever hear anything?
I never heard anything.
That's so funny.
I just got my Skull
I'll pay
Crusher.
extra for a mold of my face.
Yeah. How
That's
much?
great.
How much does this cost? I was like, I don't know, 12, 13. I don't remember.
Oh, that's
but
great.
I was like, but to me, that was a foregone conclusion.
Yeah.
Like, why
of course.
wouldn't you do
why
this for
wouldn't
me?
you? This seems like a
Yeah.
no-brainer. Yeah. So Skull Crusher. So is that going to be your name?
That was the name. Yeah.
So-
My mom did not like it.
Is that what your
Because
name's
she
going to be
thought
now?
if I took that to school and showed the other kids a figure, like, look, I'm a G.I. Joe named Skull Crusher, they thought it would instigate fights because they would want to see me.
They'd be like,
Skull
oh, if you
Crush-
can crush
crush
skulls,
skulls,
then why
yeah.
don't you crush
Like-
some skulls, kid? Interesting.
My mom was worried about a lot of things that I was
Interesting.
doing as a kid.
Interesting.
Nowadays, I don't know. Gosh, I would really want an extravagant uniform. That's for
Well,
sure.
you know, the things that Joe and Joe team members do are
What's
things
that?
like Cobra cleaning people.
Oh, we're the
right?
low end.
Oh
of
yeah,
the
yeah,
totem
yeah, yeah. Cobra Commander speech writers, right? Stephanie Goldstein, our friend who you know, she's like the propaganda. Like she edits.
Perfect.
She edits.
I feel like I would work in marketing.
information like for
Absolutely.
the people in the
Yeah.
field, you know, like things like
Yeah.
that. So there's those levels of positions here.
I definitely would want to work in the marketing department. I feel like they could use a little help.
Okay, a market GI Joe though, not
Yeah.
Cobra's marketing is on point.
Yeah, yeah. No,
There's
G.I.
no
Joe for
openings
sure.
in Cobra marketing. I'll tell you that right now. Cobra
Because G.I.
marketing
Joe
is
up
like-
to this point,
you want to work in Cobra marketing because they're the best.
Yeah.
but there's no openings.
no.
Yeah,
G.I. Joe needs some help because they're pretty much accepting anybody.
they
and
never had a
need-
logo.
No, they had.
They don't have a logo.
They have
Their
3
logo
stripes
is
and a
their
font.
name.
Yeah.
And that's not a logo. A logo is not your
No.
name, you know?
Yeah.
They don't have a logo. And they didn't get one until later years.
But
They
it's-
tried to do like the eagle, and that doesn't really work. It
It's
just
generic.
looks
It's like when
right.
they put the eagle on Captain America's
So
head.
you'd work in the marketing department for G.I. Joe.
Yeah. And I think I'm not even thinking about what I would bring to the team. I'm thinking more about what I would wear because you get to choose your own.
Sure, yeah.
And I was always jealous of the alley vipers
Okay.
because orange is, you know me, I love my orange.
You do.
Orange
You
and,
do.
and blue is my secondary favorite
Okay.
color. So when I saw the alley viper on toy shelves, I was like, I don't know what this is, but I need it.
You're the one kid that
I need it.
I made fun of their look on this show. So
It's a
many
rich,
times.
like,
it's so crazy.
like why is that the urban camouflage?
Yes.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't look like brick.
It doesn't look like
an alley.
anything. You stand out in every environment imaginable. So maybe that was part of the plan. Maybe that was part of their brand marketing. I don't know. I think we're giving Cobra a little too much credit. Maybe they do need a little marketing help, at least in that.
Oh yeah, it's true. Well, that's
but yeah,
design,
no,
that's
I love-
designer. That's costume design help though, not marketing.
Yeah,
so you're
true.
Joe marketing. Do you want to be called Skull Crusher still?
I don't think I would now.
No,
I
okay.
feel like I'm a little more passive these days. I'm very judgmental though, so who knows?
Yeah. Who could? What could you? And you're the.
I mean, I feel like I'd still be Beelzebub.
Oh, you would. Oh, you would
'Cause-
totally be Beals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd have my orange and blue uniform.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And you come branded. You already
Yeah.
come branded. They're like,
Right.
well, why? How come his code name's like? They're like, he's branded himself.
I'd have
He's
my
the
little
best of-
fireball logo, but with like
Yes.
red, white, and blue flag stripes on either end instead of an eagle.
Yep.
Yeah.
Boom. Beelzebub.
we're in.
Beelzebub is now a member. Guess I think that means
part
I
of G.I.
own your
Joe.
Twitter.
Yeah.
I think that's like there's some
I
kind
think
of
I
weird
just gave that
copyright
to
thing
you.
that just happened.
Crap.
Just
Oh, well.
happened. You guys heard it.
You know what? It's going to a good home.
It is. So Beelzebub, welcome to the Joe and Joe team as the G.I. Joe marketing professional.
Thanks.
I love it.
Oh,
So what did you think of the episode?
it was interesting. I didn't recognize anybody on it except for cool gold-plated Destro.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was a cool redesign, I'll be honest. I mean, gold always stands out over
yeah.
the silver. And
Yeah.
I love the original Destro.
And it's like a classy upgrade.
Yeah, he's got like that cool shoulder spike thing going on with the one-sided cape, which Thor just stole. So it's in fashion now.
Totally.
Yeah. There's the pink tanks.
There's the
Gosh.
pink tanks.
I think from a terrorism standpoint, maybe Cobra does need a little branding help.
They need it. They need some.
I just don't know
vehicular
what. At
design
this point
help.
in their career, I don't know what their mission
They
statement
need
is.
well, that's true. They are all over the map. They
They're-
need vehicular design help.
Yeah.
But we did get there is a little bit of lore that also was introduced in this episode that Cobra Commander has written a book. So we've also seen in other episodes that Cobra has they have like a vacation plan.
Yeah.
They have a vacation resort that's all Cobra. They have a magazine like Cobra, like Time, like Cobra Life magazine. They have retirement plans. They have all this stuff, and Cobra Commander's a published author. So there's a lot of backstory that happens like kind of in between the
If
lines.
that version of Cobra existed right now in the real world, the alt-right would just be
Well, sure,
wedding themselves.
They'd be wearing pink and
Like, we have a
alleys.
home
Yeah, we're like, hey,
with
great,
benefits.
great. Yeah, I mean they're all incels because there were no female Cobra soldiers.
Were there any African American Cobras?
No, there weren't.
Interesting.
No, there
I
weren't.
don't
Not
wanna-
until years later. And on the cartoon, there was one episode with one. And I think the reasoning behind
His
it
name was Ben Carson.
Yes, there was one. There's always one. The reasoning I think behind it was that they didn't want to portray him as like in negative light.
Yeah. Well,
Because the show's very progressive,
Right.
and inclusive with
Yeah.
people of all races.
on G.I. Joe.
Yeah, G.I. Joe is like the squad. They're every race, and there's a lot of women. You know, at least in the first seasons. This one, the toy line. It's always driven by the toy line, obviously.
Yeah.
And the '90s was really heavy with that. Boys don't buy girl toys, so there are no girl toys.
Yeah.
There was one episode. There was a black dude,
Yeah.
but they never made a figure of him until years later because they're like, no, we wouldn't want to be a part of that. I'm good. I'm good over here.
That's the world,
Right?
For the most part.
Pretty much. Well, this was great, Dan.
This was fun.
I'm so happy we finally got this together.
Me too. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, oh my God, you're such a pleasure. Remember, go to @Beelzebub and check out the newest member of the Joe and Joe Squad. And watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
feel like
watch
I'd
it.
be-
Watch support Brooklyn Nine-Nine so much on
Yeah.
NBC. So it's moved to NBC now.
It'll be NBC. Yeah.
Yeah, watch it so much that they're like, we have to not only keep it around for another season, but then also we need to make a secondary show about just the stand-ins.
Thought about that. Like
Call it Brooklyn 66.
You don't wanna see that.
Call it Brooklyn 66.
the camera guys on the show toy with the idea of like shooting our rehearsals and trying to put it together, I don't recommend it.
No, you do that.
Oh.
No. You on the show, you bring in someone who's going to make a spoof of their show.
Yeah.
But the footage that they use is just your stand-in footage.
No,
And so then you So
no.
then you have your
You
real
think
guys.
you want that, but you don't.
You have your real guys watching it on TV cameras, going like, "These guys are terrible. Who would ever employ them?" And it's just footage of you guys as stand-in.
It's funny, like my energy is always up and down, and there are days where I'm like, I'm ready. I'll bring it. Whatever Joe does.
As a
I'll do it.
stand-in, are you supposed to mimic their energy too, or is it just
Not necessarily,
more for,
but
like,
it's obviously more
do you have to know
enjoyable
the
for
dialogue? Do you have
everybody.
to know the dialogue and all that? Like,
You don't have to know it. Like, we have our sides. You can read it on the spot. But obviously, you want to look up at the camera for lighting and everything.
Yeah.
So the more you know, that's G.I. Joe,
and knowing is half the
the
battle.
better it'll be for
Oh my
everybody.
God! Well, Dan, thank you so much, and listeners, I
course.
hope you enjoyed it as much as I did.
Oh, I had a blast.
And now you, Joe, and Joeing is half the battle.
Woo!